Well, hey guys, welcome back. We're still working on this tractor. I've pretty well got everything done with the rear half of the cab that we had, with the split and the oil leaks and everything. I don't have it all put back together yet because we're working up underneath the rear hood, I guess, the fuel tank hood. We're trying to make sure that our fuel float switch and our gauges are working properly like they should. We completely rebuilt all three of them a couple years ago, put new float switches in, I guess I took the old sending units out and I had them rebuilt. But anyway, this one was working. They were all working. Anyway, this one had, I don't know, maybe a month or so after we had completely rebuilt everything, the fuel float switch quit working, which means the engine gets fuel from this tank. The rear tank back here is basically just kind of like a catch tank. The overflow, the excess fuel the engine does not need, does not go to the front tank. There's some check balls and stuff. The one down here by the fuel pump down here underneath the cab, there's a couple check balls, and there's one up there on the top of the rear tank as well. All three of my tractors do the exact same thing. The return fuel skips over the front tank, goes down past the pump and up into the rear tank. So essentially, if your float switch is not working, not turning on your auxiliary fuel pump, then that tank will overfill and run onto the ground because it doesn't pump it back out. The way in which these float switches work, there's two floats in here, both about 4 inches apart, 3 to 4 inches apart. The top float is what shuts off your fuel pump. The bottom float turns on your fuel pump. So when your engine is sucking fuel and it gets down to about right there to the bottom float and it goes down, then your fuel pump kicks on, okay? Then you've got 3 inches worth of fill, and once the top float floats up, it shuts the fuel pump off. And they do that so one float sitting in here doing this, it's kind of going to be turning on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off. Basically, that's going to kind of wear out your float, wear out your pump, whatever. So they utilized a two float system. It's really not that difficult to, if you got any knowledge on electrical, you can order a new float switch, custom made with, you can throw in God dang, I can't even think. You can throw in a relay up top, which is what we did, plumbed it all in to our current wiring and made it work. So like I said, about a month or so after we pulled this one out of the shop, she had quit working, and I did not have time to pull it in the shop and pull this hood off and go through the wiring again and figure out what the heck was the matter, which is what we're doing now. Since we're done with harvest, we're just working on stuff. So let's flip the camera around here. Okay, so this great big guy right there, that is our float switch. This is our new float switch harness. This is our little relay to make it work. This is our old wiring harness. It's a 3-wire, so you'd have your power wire, your ground wire, and your signal wire to turn on your pump. Now, this one does not use all 3 wires because it's a little bit fancier. The old international ones had a relay built into the top of the nut there on the stem. Obviously, these guys don't. They have basically just a 4-wire deal in there, 2 wires, one set of wires for each float, basically what it is. So with a little bit of ingenuity, you got to have I forget what the heck kind of relay that's called. It's not a simple on and off relay. It's kind of got a 2-position, but anyway, so that's what we did. We're checking it out. I pulled this connector out, stuck my test lead inside the wire right here, and basically looking for ohm resistance down there at the harness, figuring out which wire down there is the wire that's supposed to be hot. Hey, Cameron.
What's up?
Oh, I'm just explaining to everybody how these float switches work. So, with the tester up there in the harness, this is the 4-pin plug that the book's talking about. This controls your fuel pump. So I got that stuck in there. I'm looking for ohms. I took my other end of the tester, insert into here to figure out which one is showing resistance up here. Once we figure that out, then we can look at the other side of the harness, and you see it's kind of got some issues. She's gotten hot over the last few years. The wires are fraying back, and just a couple days ago I put some electric tape, which is liquid. I've got a nice product. It's a liquid electric tape. Anyway, so it's solidified. Now I gotta peel all that shit back off of there, because this is our wire. When we hook this guy up and put the harness back together, hook that guy up with that green wire, then it works. But she's missing some power. This guy over here has just been floating around, and I didn't know what the heck it was doing since we split it and things are a mess. This one is hot. How about that? So I'm pretty certain that guy is supposed to be wrapped around that guy, but because all the wires are all smookumed and scooched, why, it's kind of hard to tell. But that's kind of the gist of it. That's what we're doing. Hey, Nat.
Hey.
Hey, Bug. What are you guys doing?
We're out here because Cameron said.
Okay. So Cameron's got a school function we got to go rip to real quick. And I'm going to call today for today. But we will see you guys. We will see you guys again tomorrow.
Bye.
See you tomorrow. So it's been another week since we was looking at this last. We had those soybeans kind of pop up out of nowhere. We had to go run quick. But now you kind of know what we're into, and I'm not sure if we can down here. I'm not sure if it wouldn't be better just to get a new connector here, because these fucking wires just don't want to stay in here. I'm sure once we would plug them in and get them tight, but as you can see, I mean, that thing's corroded like crazy. So no, we're not even using that one. I've got it fucking spliced over in a different spot because that was nasty. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. Now there's another example right there. This wire, that actually might be that wire. But so maybe we should just find a new connector, a new 4-pin connector, or a 3-pin even, because like I said, these are nasty. I mean, gee whiz, it's a 1980 tractor, so I guess I can't really complain. But all right, let's go make some phone calls, see what we can find. Since we got this hood off of here, we're also going to replace the throttle cable. This one's throttle cable is here, this guy, and I'm guessing it's been replaced before, because usually they go up over the top, but this one goes down and under. Or maybe my other one's weird and it goes up over the top. So it's getting pretty stiff. Like I said, we've got it unhooked right now because we just, had the tractor split. So it's pretty stiff to use. So obviously you can see we've got some fuel leaks here. I'm going to address most of it. I think is return line stuff, because it's all wet across the top. And you can see this return line nut there is damp. So yeah. Well, I guess I'll make some phone calls. We've got to go and fetch that cable. I've had it ordered now for 2 weeks, and we've been screwing around with that stupid split and oil leak, and then had to go do those soybeans for a few days. Everything's just kind of hurry up and wait. And tomorrow I'm supposed to go help my neighbor work his calves. So I guess it'll be another couple days before we can really get skookum on this thing. All right, so I've been working on this thing a few hours tonight after working calves, and where we left you off with was kind of a shamble. So let's flip a look. This 4-pin is a rat's nest. So I stopped at Napa this afternoon and picked up a 4-pin, I don't know what they call that, a GM pack, weather pack, whatever. But back to our problem, not getting power through this green wire. I still don't know what this wire is. I've looked up my other tractors and I don't know where that wire is on those. They don't seem to have that wire, or something's. Anyway, back to the green one. So we're not getting power from the cab. So we've got to go in the cab and see where that wire goes, and I've been checking here for a couple hours. Little gremlins keep popping up. But long story short, under the dash, right there, that little resistor diode, or whatever it is, basically it's a resistor, knocks the power down. My understanding is it knocks the power down for the alternator. You can absolutely correct me if I'm wrong. But these two wires go onto this left side, this yellow one and this green one, and that's what kept throwing me off. I'm like, well, these two aren't together out there. That doesn't make sense. This yellow one goes up to the key. This green one goes down out to that 4-pin connector. So these two are supposed to be tied together. It was just a little bit ago. You can see the other half of it's still in there. It's on the left side. But all the little gremlins kept popping up, and I was plugging it in, unplugging it, plugging it in, unplugging it, and it finally just broke off. So yeah, this wire is kind of nasty, kind of corroded. Half of it's pretty good. The other half is like, yeah, you can see it right. Maybe you can't. God dang, this thing won't focus. Here, let me turn the camera light on. Turn that big light over there a little bit. Okay, so I don't know if you can see it, but she's kind of half corroded on one side and okay on the other. So when I hook these two up, turn the key back on, hook these two back together. That's the fuel pump right there that's running. So I know everything up front works. We've got all that hooked together, but I've got to get these two hooked back together. Let me turn that key back off. And if you look very closely, that's got some solder in it right there in the front. So I can't just peel that puppy open. I'm gonna have to go heat it up, get the solder melted out of it, and then we can peel that ear back, put the wire back in there. Hopefully we can solder it back in. Jeepers. I've been digging around and little things keep popping up and going awry. And for a minute there, she wouldn't crank, and I don't know what the heck that was all about, but it kept messing with the key. And finally, oh, gotta have her back in park. Yep. I don't know what that was all about. Maybe it was the park switch down below was giving me some grief. This wire, I mean, it's an old tractor, so we got to kind of be careful and, you know, don't bang around on the wire harnesses as easy as best we can, because I mean, yeah, the wires all get frayed back from the connectors, and they get nasty. So yeah, anyway, camera back around. So that's kind of where we're at. I've got to get that new weather pack connector in to replace that 8-pin, because that thing's just freaking nasty. I never did really find out what that other wire is supposed to be in that 4-pin, because I'm going to keep looking at the book. It only shows 3 of the pins being used, so maybe it didn't have a 4th pin in there. I thought it did, but maybe not. This other one here, that's just a blue spade connector. That one was actually, I looked up my other tractors. Here, let me flip the camera. That one was actually just like that on the other ones. So this one is blue, it's been painted. This one's blue, and the other end is blue, and that's what this one was. It's a red to a red. It just, the connector broke or whatever, and we would just replaced it with that. So anyway, yeah. Man, freaking gremlins, I tell you what. Anyway, we've got a bunch of stuff to do this week. Trying to get a bunch of hay hauled for a guy to an auction. We got the cows work today. That was interesting. I took Mrs. Organic along. She's been around our cows plenty of times. She used to work in a sale barn when she was younger, so she kind of knows, how cows can be. I tell you what, there was one cow that, whew, she was ready to take us, and the guy says, nope, sort that old cow off. She's going to the sale barn. I can't have her around. Yeah, all right, you sort her off. I'm not getting fucking trampled. she came after me, and I went over the gate and said, fuck that, I'm out. So yeah, anyway, well, I appreciate you guys for coming along. We're going to cut this video off. It's getting plenty long enough. we're still in limbo on this old girl. As you can see, we're going to get that figured out here real quick though. Then we're going to start up on the fuel leak system, the fuel system leaks, and kind of get that cleaned up a little bit. And then I think this old girl's ready to go outside and we can pull the planting tractor in. She's got some oil leak issues, nothing major. I got to check out the high-low shifter, the same as we did with this one. I know that one's got a detent roller that's broke because we found it down in the transmission when we were changing the filters this spring. It's not like it's going to kill it to run it without it, but it's not safe to drive. You know, you get Cameron or one of the other kids in there driving it down the road and she will bloop, she'll blop out a high. So that's definitely got to get fixed. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, as I was saying. So I thank you guys for coming along. Don't forget to subscribe. Give me a good thumbs up. Questions or comments, hit me up down below. I'll do the best I can, especially with old gremlins like this old girl. Till next time, catch you later.